Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today we are going to talk about Rumi and his concept of music. In this conversation, we shall throw light on Rumi's concept of music and sama. Why did he dance? The first question is whether Rumi was a musician himself or not. Did he compose any music or did he play any music instrument? The answer is no. Needless to say that he was a good poet, because Diwan is full of his poetry and it is very rhythmic. So if he has a rhythmic poetry, he must knew some musical basic things. We cannot say he was not a musician, but he had strong ears for music. As said earlier, when explaining the concept of metaphor of the ney, in his first 18 verses, he chose ney on purpose to see God, to tell that God has his breath in human body. And this is the breath that is in body, and it wants to go to God. And so we have two elements, the body and the breath of God. He selected flute, the ney, because of this particular reason, because it has two elements, the ney itself, which is bamboo side, and the perforated bamboo, and the breath blown into it. The breath blown into it is God's part, so it wants to go there. Okay, then he comes, we will talk about his verses from Mathnawi and Diwan to see what he thinks about music and sama. Now he says this about the music. Ma chu naimo navodarmo zatust, ma chu kuhimo sadodarmo zatust. We are like a flute, and the sound in that is of you. We are like a mountain, and the echo in it belongs to you. You see, here also, flute is not used as flute, but as a mean of God's breath or sound of God. Rumi never ever listens to the flute as it is, but he feels the sound of God out of it. And he says, continues, Sir benhan ast andar ziru bam, fash agar guyam jahan barham zanam, anche nimi guyat andar I dubab, gar beguyam man jahan gardat kharab. The divine secrets are hidden in the lower and the higher pitches of the sound. If I disclose them, the world would destroy. How the world will destroy? The destruction of the world. By this, Rumi means that when you listen to the sound of God, you forget this world, and this world becomes destroyed for you, and you have no interest left in this visible world. That's what he's trying to say here. And then sama, according to Shams Tabrizi, is of two kinds. I will explain. The sama, I mean transcendental dance, which is done for the worldly show, and the sama which is performed for the love of God only, where there's nothing else but pure feelings of God. Let's now look at what Rumi's beloved friend Shams says about the sama. I have heard that there are many invitations of shamas in Konya, in this city, when he came here. We haven't visited them, he says to Rumi. Musical performance of ney and sama is actually not the invention of Rumi. It existed at Balkh and Khurasan long time before Rumi came to Konya. It's no invention of Rumi himself. For example, Abu Sa'id Abu Khair's father took him with him for watching Sama. That was 200 years before Rumi came to Konya. How did Rumi start his pure Sama first time in his life? That's what they say. Rumi was passing by a shopkeeper who was gold beater. His name was Salahuddin Zarku, and his workers were beating the gold. Like we have in Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, we have the gold, beaten gold, and we call it waraq. And we eat it with fruits, no, sorry, not fruits, desserts, etc. Upon seeing the Sama of Rumi, the shopkeeper, Salahuddin Zarku, came out, running out, and joined Mawlana Jalaluddin Rumi's Sama. And he shouted to his workers, please keep on beating, let the golds go wasted. Because it's the sound which is important, not the gold. You see, this is the first action of Rumi of Sama. He went out of himself and started performing this action. When Salahuddin passed away, his corpse was taken with musical instruments. They played music and took him to the grave. This looks like Indian corpse or Indian burial situation. But the thing is here, you know, the belief is different. Sufi goes to grave with the company of music because he is going to his God, his beloved. The Hindu takes their bodies, dead bodies, because they will come back in another shape. So this phenomena is same, but the creed, belief is different. Now, as a matter of fact, body is like under a conflict between the physical, the body conflict between the spiritual and the physical build up. The soul, which is breath of God, wants to go to God or the spiritual world, and it has some memories of that time when God created man and said, Alastu Rabbukum, among your God. That was very musical. Rumi says we still, who are lover of God, hear that, and in Sama we have that concept or that feelings. Now, Rumi says how the real Sama is. Ishq aunabarat ke har zaman barkhizi uzazir du pay khush gard angizi. Love does not mean to stand up and rise dust under your feet. True love is that when you perform Sama, play with your life, rise up from the both worlds, leave them behind. Oh my gosh, very difficult. Ishq an boshat ki chu dar ai Sama jan darbazi o zadu jahan barkhizi. Then you rise from the two worlds. Now, let's also see what Rumi's father says about Sama. Rumi's father was his teacher and he was looking after him, he educated him and all that. So it's important to know what he was thinking. And he says in his Makalat, Awarif, now listen to the music coming out of any instrument so that you may get to spiritual excitement given by God. Listen to a person who's mourning with pain so that you may feel your own mourning due to separation from God. So it's the same like Nay. People called Noha Nuh because he always cried. Nuh means to lament and cry. man or believers should lament because of being away from God. If a believer has attained peace and pleasure from God, he must be happy with that, and that should be enough for him. In case his soul is deprived of pleasure and is sad, he should not seek peace and other, but only God from others. Then cry like a child because a mother runs to a child to give him milk or whatever. So this is from Al-Ma'arif of Rumi's father, Baha'u'ddin Walid. Now let's have a look at Shams himself. What does he say about Sama? Actually, Shams is the person who invited Rumi to perform Sama. He started. So he says, lovers of God get closer to God's manifestation by means of Sama. While doing so, they get rid of worldly worries. Sama takes them to a different world and makes them feel God closer. However, there is an illegal, forbidden kind of Sama. To accept that needs greatness, that this Sama is correct. Their arms and hands will burn in the fire of hell if they are doing it for show. So this is what the gist of originality of Sama is. Why do Sufis need music? Rumi gives answer to this question in the following verses. ناله سرنا و تهدید دهل چیزی که ماند بدا ناقور کل پس حکیما گفتند این لحنها از دوار چرخ بگرفته ما. The yawning flute, the yawning of the large flute, or I don't know the other music, and the menace of drum resemble the universal trumpet. Thus the scholars claim that they have received those noises from the universe. This means that Rumi believes whatever the sound there is in the musical instrument do not belong to this world, but it comes from the other world. بانگ گردش های اینها که خلق میسایندش به تنبور و به خلق ما همه اجزای آدم بوده ایم در بهشت آن لحنها بشنیده ایم. These melodies that people sing with their throat and pandore is the sound of the celestial sphere. We are all parts of Adam and have heard those melodies in paradise. This is what Rumi says, that these sounds human beings' soul had heard in the other world. And he continues, جان های بستن اندر آب و گل چون رهد از آب و گل ها شاد دل در هوای عشق حق رقصان شوند همچو کرس بدر بی نقصان شوند. Sufis' lives have been captive to the clay and water. When they get rid of this water and clay, their hearts become pleased and satisfied. Then they begin to dance with uplift of love, so they become pure and faultless like the full moon. We also come across these verses about Rumi about music. دلم را ناله سرنی باید که از سرنی بوی یار می آید. My heart needs moaning of flute because scent of friend rises from it, comes from it. Actually, the sound of ney does not belong to this world, it belongs to the other world. That's what Rumi says. Here is a very interesting verses, 3 of them. دو دهن داره में همچونه یک دهن پنهان است در لبهای وی. We have two mouths like nay. One mouth is hidden in the other lips. یک دهن نالان شده سوی شما های هو در فکنده در هوا. One mouth is crying this side and has raised wailing and yawning from the other side. Sorry, this side. However, a professor of spiritual, However, a possessor of spiritual eyes knows that this wailing is coming from the other side. نفس شومت را بکش که دیو توست تا ز جیبت سر برآرد حوریان. Kill your misfortune ego because the devil and angels may show up from the other pocket, from your pocket, which means your chest. If you deny the sama of lovers of God, you will be resurrected like animals. And then Rumi continues, Sama chist ز پنهانیان دل پیغامی غریب دل غریب باید ز نامشان آرام دل غریب بیابد ز نامشان آرام. What is sama? It is messenger from an abundant heart and to achieve consolation by their letters and messages. شگفته گردد از این باد شاخه های خرد گشاده گردد از این زخم در وجود مسام. By that wind the branches of intellect and the body's cells widen. It means you get pleasure. Spiritual pleasure, you get that. سما آنجا بکن که آنجا آروسی است نه در ماتم که آنجای فغان است. Perform sama where the wedding is not where there is a funeral lamentation. Because, you know, sama means to get to God, and when you are in presence of God, you should get rid of sorrows. Keep away from sorrows. In the other world, we hear the divine music. Now Rumi says that please don't worry about saving these songs, and if one of your instruments breaks, don't worry, it doesn't matter. We have fallen into place which is the other world. It's all music, nothing else. So why do you worry about keeping the music safe? And then he says, this is interesting to say that why every kind of music is in the other world, and that's the source. Mu'minan guyand asar behesht nagz gardanad har awaz zisht. Believers say that the effect of paradise changes all the bad voices into sweet. Ma hama ajzai adam budaim dar behishtan lahnha shunidaim. We all have been parts of Adam, and we must have heard those noises and sounds there in the paradise. Gerçe barma richt abu gilshaki yadman namad azanha chizaki. Although the water and mud have filled us with doubt, and still there is something we remember of that music which was in the other world, says Rumi. Lekin chunamicht bakhak karm, since the clay has mixed up with pains within it, how these ups and downs of music can give real pleasure. If we are not feeling any pleasure of these ups and downs of music meters, then we have lost, we are in doubt, and our body is covered with clay, which is blood and body, and bones, sorry. Finally, Rumi gives a striking example of sama in Diwan. The whirling moments of the rishis is like the workers who treat on grapes to get wine. an act that brings the spiritual wine into existence. So it's like working for the wine of God, and you run on the grapes to crush them down and make wine. Thank you very much.